I thought it was. I got it out of the basement.
Call some hired help.
Yeah. It was just a lady there. I wasn't able to get it out. It took me forever.
Which Dirksen was that?
Had that,
Larry?
no, lived in Buffalo.
I thought it said Larry Dirksen on the auction
There's
bill.
Larry, okay, I
Yeah.
can,
In town?
yeah. Right north of Casey's, 1 block east, and yeah.
They had a couple of nice vehicles on that
That
auction.
truck went more than it really should have, but
Did
I
it?
can see why.
Jason and I were looking at it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and finally at the end, I was just like,
I think we went for 16.1 cash, and then they had the 10% buyer's fee on it, you know.
oh wow.
But it only had 50,000 miles on it. It wasn't a four-door, it was an extended cab. But, oh yeah, it was in perfect shape.
When I was looking at it about 2 or 3 days before the auction, it was like at 11,000.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh,
Yeah.
baby.
Well, I'd have been bidding too, that could have stayed, because,
It's just like grain trailers on these online auctions. Looking to get one of those. And, going up to the auction, they're, high bid is $3,000-4,000. And by the time that last 20 minutes of that online auction goes, the thing's gone from that to
What drives me nuts on the Halford
15,
one, it's supposed to
16,000.
end at like, say, 11 o'clock. It'll go another hour after that because
well, it says
somebody
it
ends
ends
at
at
slowly puts a bid in.
it'll say it ends at 11 o'clock or like 3 minutes after the last bid.
Right.
So if they keep bidding, it can keep
And
going.
they time it so it's right before their deadline.
Yeah.
Well, come on in. I don't know. I
yeah,
wouldn't let
there's
you
room, there's, you're 6 feet distance.
Got room in
in.
here?
I wouldn't let you in, period.
Thanks. So what was the emergence down at Goalies at the food truck then?
I think there was a food truck down there. That's the only thing I can
Noticed
figure
that there
out.
was a deputy and a cop and the state
Where
trooper was just around the corner.
Well, I think Dana was getting his haircut at, what's her name?
Where at?
There's a food truck down at Goldie's.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Maybe they were all just getting something to eat.
That's
That was
that's what they were doing.
There was a line when I went by, yeah.
So Sage the other night in softball here, they can't have the concession stand open, but they had a food truck around the corner just off the school property. They were doing a good business too, wasn't bad.
Well, they were in Thompson here a month ago.
Yeah,
Went over and got
That
food.
didn't go well.
Didn't it?
Ran out before noon.
Yeah.
Is that
exactly.
that barbecue one?
Everybody's
Yeah, that's
standing in line. They're gonna be out here in about 3 people.
I didn't even know it was coming to Buffalo, and then by the time you see the thing, it was swarmed, and I'm like, man, that must be a popular thing. I've never heard of it before. But now it's been there a couple times since then.
Wonder if they weren't at the county fair. That barbecue thing. I don't know, but yeah, we got it at Thompson and there was a line, quite a line.
Well, I suppose we better say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the agenda.
I'll second the motion.
Motion Stemter and second from Derby to approve the minutes of the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
9 a.m. It's Denise Hinken, landowner, to discuss speed limit on 340th Street. Is there anybody on the phone?
Where's this at?
Just county line
Be the gas and said.
goes out to from the bowling alley out to the, I don't know. Yeah. It's not bowling alley, golf course. To about
The blacktop road.
Pilot Knob Road.
And evidently there's people driving too fast on it or something, or?
This
We
is
don't
all
know.
I, this is all I know about it, but you got here.
Well, she's not here, so we'll assume that the problem has been alleviated somehow, or,
I know there's a bike trail on it, so people probably fear that traffic's too fast, but
yeah.
it's a rural road.
What is the speed limit on it?
30 to 45.
It's until you get out in the country.
Yeah, all the east-west portion is 30 to 45.
Yeah, okay.
We could put the buggy out there a couple days.
We can try that.
Okay, and we'll move on to discussion of possible action regarding COVID-19 policies.
We were unable to connect with you last week. There was discussion. Constituents are upset that they can't just come in and do their business at the treasurer's office. I've heard from a couple, I don't know if you said you've heard.
Oh, yeah, I've heard from at least a dozen.
Probably the worst of it is when they come up from across the county. You know, the people in Forest City in this area, it's not such a big inconvenience when they have to go home, but when you come from Buffalo Center or Wright, then it's a lot more.
Well, I haven't been told this. I haven't had any customers complain. Those that do walk in, we do service them on the east counter. But the titling and driver's license still has to stay by appointment only. And ours are full, and people call and they set up their own time to come in. So I haven't heard anybody come to me and tell me they've been upset. So if I need to contact some of these people, I'd be willing to do that.
So I had a person talk to me last night that said that they couldn't come in and they couldn't come in and do their registration, that they had to mail it in, and they didn't want to spend the extra 50 cents for the stamp and the extra $1 for the mailing process. They wanted to just come in and do it, and they were told that they couldn't.
Well, if they come into the counter, we're helping them on the east side. So otherwise, everybody else is mailing in taxes and their registrations. And it hasn't been a problem. People walk in, we help them on the east side, but otherwise it's all by appointments. And a lot of counties are still staying that way. There's a few that are starting to do a soft opening like what we've already done. So,
And you want to keep it that way?
yeah. Well, the DOT is suggesting that it stays
Yeah,
this way
okay.
as well.
I don't see a problem with it myself.
And I know Buffalo Center is got a lot of cases up that way right now. And we've had people calling and wondering how they can come in with the problem that they have. So it's like, you know, you have to respect everybody else that's working here and other customers that are already at the counter. We get a lot of traffic flow through our office. And so I have to just be a little more careful on what we do down there. We see a lot of people from all over.
We have extra face shields and masks if that would make you guys feel more comfortable too.
Well, we're doing the best we can the way we have it, by appointment only. And those that walk in, we're helping them. We've got the shields up on the counter. We're disinfecting after every customer. We're having the customers disinfect. So do you want me to contact some of these people that have a problem, or?
Well, I can ask them if they want to talk to you.
Yeah.
It's,
Because people call in and they're very happy to make an appointment, and a lot of people appreciate the appointments. They know they come in, they're up there, they're getting their work done, and then they leave.
well, one was told they didn't have an appointment, and then they came down to the end of the hallway and talked to somebody, and then they watched that nobody come in for 15 minutes.
I think I know who you're talking about, and yeah, he came in on the wrong day, And we were full that day. We were busy on both sides
Well, he
and
said
the
he didn't see
drivers.
anybody go in there.
I know, and he
So-
said that to us too, but I have the spreadsheets on everybody that's coming in, times and days, so.
I just,
I-
but why are they being told like that they can't come in? Because my friend was told that she could not come in for her tags.
Well, we just want the mailing, less traffic through the door is the best thing for us right now.
Okay, but
So
she doesn't want
mailing-
to spend the extra money to do that process, so she wants to just stop in.
Then she can come to the east side of the counter. But it's with everything, I mean, you just gotta either mail or go online. She can go online and pay 25 cents.
But she doesn't want to spend the extra money, that's the
A quarter.
point. Yeah, well,
You
some
know,
people don't
and-
have a extra quarter to spend.
I had one person I offered to pay the postage for myself. So, I mean, there are
Yeah, it's just the
people that
idea.
get that way, I guess.
Yeah. But they spend more money driving from where they live to
Well,
get
they're
here.
usually coming here anyway for some other reason, and if it works out for them timely wise, you know, cause you may not have time, and then all of a sudden you find a time where you got some time, you gotta go here anyway, you can get it all done, and then whatever else they were doing, or, you know, maybe they're on their way to Mason City or whatever, and some of them that I talked to didn't even realize there was appointment times, and they just were a little disappointed they had. They just
And
weren't
they'll
paying
probably be
attention.
this way till at least the
Well-
end of the year.
Well, if it comes to where it's something that's, always gonna be, then I guess everybody will know.
Yep.
But right now, not everybody has paid attention, so. All right. Anything else for COVID policies?
Gonna leave it, or what are we gonna do?
I don't see change at this point.
That's good with me. I actually wish you'd keep it that way forever.
We've had a lot of people say that they want it this way, and the DOT is kind of pushing us to stay appointments only.
Well, I knew when I came, I wasn't gonna have to wait.
Well, that's what people like, you know, because
Yeah, that's,
when we open the door, we're gonna have people down the hallway.
I pointed that out. It's just the bad news is you gotta make an appointment. The good news is you probably won't have to wait in line. So,
And, you know, we're used to being busy, but I've gotta protect everybody in my office as well, and the customers.
Okay.
It'd be different if we didn't have the customer service like we, or the people coming into the county like we do.
Yeah,
You know, and we've got people moving in from all over, so we're dealing with them on one-on-one base too, so.
well, with everything that we do or don't do, we're gonna have people that don't like it.
And I'm not gonna be able to, if I open up the doors, how am I gonna keep them social distancing? They don't listen to that.
Yeah, I noticed that one day.
Yeah.
A whole group of people out by that pew that is,
And we tell them, you know, when you come in, it's you, you know, or your spouse or whoever's doing the business, but not your whole family. We still get several bringing them all in. So it's a battle for us as well, and we're working and filling everybody in as much as we can.
all right. Anything else for that then? Leave things the way they are?
I didn't know if Julie was on the phone or,
I think Julie's off this week.
she's, okay.
I'm here, I'm listening.
All right. You got any input?
No, I kind of think Julie's wise for doing that with the social distancing issue and the increased numbers right now in our county. And I think the fourth holiday will, I don't know, I think it's just, everybody just still needs to do their due diligence, and since it's not on the front page right now all the time, everybody thinks it's gone, and it's not gone.
Well, part of the increase in the cases is the fact that we're probably doing 10, maybe 20 times as much testing now as we were before too, so. I think there's,
That is true.
it's, people that felt slightly sick, never got tested 2 months ago are now getting tested.
But then you have those ones that are asymptomatic that are walking around that have been next to that person who has been tested and tested positive, who said, oh yeah, I might have been in contact with them, and then they don't go get tested.
But that just reinforces the statement that Bill just made, that happened before too, so. You know, people came in contact with people that had it and didn't even know it, so. Yeah, I still gotta be diligent, still
that's
gotta be
true.
diligent, yeah.
Right, and you still have to side on the side of caution.
All right,
Well, I hope going forward that the three of you, when you do have somebody come to you, have them call me and maybe back us and support us in
I
the
would
decision
assume
that
if
we're
they wanted
doing.
to talk to you, they would have talked to you there.
And I haven't had
I don't know why they,
I've had the one customer that I believe you're talking about, and he's always been that way. We've always had an issue with him, no matter what we do for him.
I've had nobody talk.
and my guess is the one that, I think I know, possibly know which one you're talking about, but there's also another one. I don't think you know this one.
Okay. Well, have them call me, but I wish you guys can support us in our decision as well. Because if we open the door and we get sick down there, you're gonna be closed. The treasurer's office will be closed. And we've been open and working since this all started. So we're trying our best.
Yeah.
People just have to learn
But
to
that's
live a
what-
different way,
You got the glass up now and.
part of it.
And, everybody knows to wash their hands and
No,
use
they
the,
don't.
well, most.
They're supposed to, but they don't.
And your odds are a lot less now.
Well,
All right.
that's why we have these weekly updates, so we
Yeah, that's good,
keep
yeah.
conversing.
And hopefully things can change too. I wish it could go back to being normal, but I don't see that happening for a while.
Okay, well, we'll move on then.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Consider for approval fireworks permit for Diana Haugen.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
Motion Stenser and a second from Derby to approve the fireworks permit for Diana Haugen. All in favor say aye.
I
We stamp these or just sign
do
them?
the same.
Stamp them, please.
Consider for approval liquor license from the Super Bowl.
Same as 4, please.
I'll second it. Motion from Stenser and a second from Jensvold to approve the liquor license for the Super Bowl. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Number 6, consider for approval 2080 agreement with Northwest Iowa Care Connections. Didn't we already approve this once?
This is something different.
Adjustments?
I don't know, I was told I just do what I'm told, Bill.
Gave it to you.
Not Kim, who's the new one. Whoever the new lady is.
Sharing of mental health advocate costs.
Oh, yeah, that's a different 2080. That's not the official. That's an addition to it as far as, the mental health advocate part of it goes. And each county have it, or where we have one that represents 3 counties, and then we had to figure out how we're gonna, because Hancock County's still part of it, even though they're still part of CSS. All right.
I'll make a motion to approve that 2080 agreement.
I'll second it. Did that have to be stamped?
No, no,
How you doing?
that one in front of you is for the Super Bowl.
Okay, on a motion from Derby, or motion from Spencer and a second from Derby to approve the 2080 agreement with Northwest Iowa Care Connection. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Scott Miners, engineer, will discuss secondary road matters.
Yep, good morning.
All right.
Biggest thing I got, we have hired a new employee and we're back to full staff July 13th when he starts. We have hired Larry Lawson. He's from Buffalo Center. He has worked most recently for the North Iowa School District as their head of buildings, maintenance, and transportation. So we're excited to get him on board and working out of the Buffalo Center shop.
He's a good addition.
Jack of all trades.
I think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, no, he's a handy fellow. I've told the two superintendents that he's worked under that he was probably one of the most important employees at their school, and that they should keep him happy, but evidently they did. Anything else for secondary roads as far as?
That's all I got.
Guy talked to me on 180th, blacktop going into Scarville from 69. There's quite a bit of corn stalks in the ditch. I kinda had a little chuckle there, cause came from, I don't know if it came from Fairfield, cause it was in the CRP. Probably did. But,
It can be problematic. I mean,
Okay.
I know what you're talking about, because they just break down and turn into muck
yeah,
and cover the intakes and they turn into dirt over time, you know. But that is so common, you know.
yeah,
It's best if the farmers who see it go and burn it up and protect whatever's around it if there's intakes or anything, but that's pretty tough to manage.
yeah. Okay. That's all I got.
How are they coming with the asphalt milling and that?
You know, patch project or the paving project?
Hey,
We have not gotten any updates for probably a month here on schedule, but as far as their latest schedule goes, they would be here at the end of July, maybe beginning of August, to start cold in place recycling and doing some of the milling work around Buffalo Center maybe. So I'd say we're a month without really seeing any action except for maybe some signs kind of getting temporary put up and that kind of stuff.
I noticed some really bad potholes up by the Winnebago church.
Yeah, it's in the project, so
Yeah, I know.
we don't want to spend too much time on that, but I guess no reason why we couldn't throw some cold mix in the hole. Just at that intersection there on the west side of the intersection.
You can avoid them.
At least it's a stop control and you can kind of go through there slow, but
Yeah, that's a good thing.
yeah. So yeah, we're probably, I don't know, a month to 6 weeks before you'd see those get worked out, so maybe we ought to get something in those holes.
So I had
Okay, I guess I've got one, but it's probably more for conservation. There was a pretty good group of trees in a ditch on my way here, so it must be getting good, leafy and easy to see.
Yeah, I had Gordy Anderson call me about the spraying in the ditches, and he doesn't think they're doing a good job. So I gave Schwartz's number.
Yeah. The biggest problem I've seen is some of the organic farmers, you know, there's a conflict between spraying and organic farmers, so sometimes those are the places where the trees pop up, and I don't know what the solution to that is.
manually cut them down, I guess.
Yeah, maybe, I mean, if you're gonna be an organic farmer, I think there's some responsibility to try to maintain some of the ditch too, because, you know, if our hands are tied to spray, hard to control those.
No, this one here is no organic farmer near these. And they look pretty healthy too, so hopefully they just haven't sprayed that one yet.
Yeah,
All right, move on to auditor's office. We'll discuss drainage matters.
7511.
Okay, that's gonna be right.
Go,
You gotta
just
do-
the number,
That's all I'm doing.
7/11.
Oh,
Great.
There are 3 participants.
that wasn't gonna be right. I had 3511.
Your call has been answered by a via IP office.
Chris Oswald.
No.
Thank you, Terry, for thinking of it.
Well,
She'll be in a few minutes.
I figured she was busy. All right,
10.
go to auditors, consider for approval auditors transfers.
When you're ready, I'll make a motion to approve those auditors transfers.
Second. Motion from Derby and a second from Stenford to approve the auditor's transfers. All in favor, say aye.
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 Number 11, consider for approval fiscal year resolutions for fiscal year 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the fiscal year resolutions for fiscal year 2021.
I will second that.
Motion from Derby and a second from Stenford to approve the fiscal year 2021 resolutions. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You got voting aye, voting nay. Is it roll call?
No, I'll just put you in.
Aye.
Copy.
on the sun.
I wish she'd get a tan.
Yeah.
She's so light.
She's
Someday.
getting plenty of vitamin D.
That's right.
There you go.
Look how healthy I am.
You got like a booth or something? Or what?
Big yard and lots of cards.
I was outside all weekend too, can't you tell?
I can tell, you're pretty dark.
I've got, two of my daughters are lifeguards and one of them isn't. The one that isn't looks like a ghost compared to.
Sure.
I really was outside all weekend.
Should have seen her when she came back from the cruise.
And the one works in a dentist's office too. You would think that the bright light with the dentist shines, maybe they'd get a little residual, but evidently not.
Nope.
What I like is driving with your arm out the window all the time, and then you got, this is all tanned up and this one's not.
Yeah, we call that
Typical farmer tan with the
Truck-
sleeves.
truck driver's arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You always wish you could switch sides every night.
Get a post office truck or something.
Yeah.
Well, finally.
I was on a drainage call.
Why you can't just walk away from
Well,
that?
Dave was wishing you would have shared that drainage call with all of us.
No, that would have been great. But,
Okay, we'll go back to the auditor's office. We'll discuss drainage matters.
I don't have anything.
Oh, yeah, the only thing I had was number 9, so.
Okay, then, Mike doesn't have anything? Me either. Discussion with possible action, DD 11.
I didn't know if this should be an action or not. We just ended up, we went out there and met Carla and Chris. I was out there and Mitch from the hog company was there and the engineer was there. And, you know, he was saying he needed 100 feet from the building to the open ditch. And, you know, we thought we were gonna have to move it all the way close to the fence. We talked to DNR, they had no problem with it. You know, there's no problems going right to the fence with the ditch, but if you have to maintain it, NRCS says you cannot go on their land whatsoever. Doesn't mean that. Yeah, anyway, so what we ended up figuring out, the engineer did a lot of measuring and surveying and figured out we can move it 5 feet north and still have 15 feet for maintenance on the north side to the fence line. And that's what this drawing is reflecting. He should be able to meet his requirements from the lenders. The lenders won't give him the loan if he doesn't have clearance around the property, so.
Is that something that we need to get a change order from the contractor? I don't know.
I thought we just needed to approve the new plans.
Yeah, I don't know.
The adjustment to the plan is all
Yep,
it is.
that's fine.
It's
I didn't know.
Moving it 5 feet is all it's doing. And-
Right.
And the south bank, instead of being a 2-to-1 slope by the building, will go to a 1.5-to-1, which is still flatter than all our other ditches that are 1-to-1. And it's all clay there, so
And that'll give you the 100 feet.
that'll give the
It
100
will.
feet. If we do that 1.5-to-1 slope for that short distance,
Oh, I'm looking at the, okay, yep.
and you do 5 feet farther north, it'll work.
Okay.
When it crosses the road, it has to jog anyway, so this just makes it a little less of a jog. He was attempting to get us to split the costs on putting pipe through that whole area, 96-inch culvert. And then, you know, I said, well, we're not gonna put that burden on the landowners. And then he said, well, would you pay for the installation? So we called the contractor and he said, oh yeah, I'd do it for the same price, put a pipe in. But then his people wouldn't pay for the pipe, so that's not gonna happen. That's how we came up with this, moving it 5 foot. So I don't know if we should go ahead and make a,
We better.
yeah. I'll make a motion to accept the new engineer's drawings to move the ditch north 5 feet, center line north 5 feet, and a short distance next to the building that has 1.5 to 1 slope instead of 2 to 1.
I'll second that.
Motion by Derby and a second from Stensrud. As stated. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So is that just for the length of the building?
For the length, at least the property, I don't know how many, let's see what it is.
I would have guessed to the,
It's showing here.
Looks to me like it'd be about 50, no?
It's got
50 feet past the building,
100.
going east.
looks like it's 100 feet off the building.
It's right at half the distance of the 100 feet, so going north, so. I would just include their property,
Well, it's per the design,
design, yeah.
the written design here.
I think what I'd like too is to have a better sheet of paper from the engineer that has their letterhead or their name on it and better picture, but just for our records.
I'm sure they can get that for you.
I'm sure they can. Yeah, it just doesn't have anything on it to say what it even is.
I just asked for, he said he had put this together, and then on Friday I said, can you send it to me?
Mm-hmm. No, this is great. This is great. I just want something a little bit more professional.
All right. Anything else for DD 11?
Oh, Rick did send me an email today that the contractor is gonna go over to 18, maybe on Thursday. They've got the boring people, I think, lined up, ready to go. So,
I think after all this mayhem, he was hoping to let this settle down before he came back.
yeah, and get that one done, because it's short, so just finish the project.
Okay, well then we'll go to number 12, discussion regarding possible new wind turbine site.
I asked to put this on the agenda. I had a conversation with Matt Helgeson, who would like to speak. He brought to my attention that easements have been bought up in Norway Township for a new wind farm. And I didn't know anything about it, so I just wanted to discuss it. And Matt could probably fill us in.
Good, thanks Mike for bringing it to the agenda. As Mike said, my name is Matt Helgeson. I live in Norway Township, right off Highway 69 north of Lake Mills. And,
Just east of the cemetery.
yep, Salem Lutheran Cemetery is there. I've been tracking the project. I know about it because my own family's been involved with conversations with the developers. But I've confirmed with records that go through iowarecords.org that the area of easement activity really extends from the city limits, northern city limits of Lake Mills to the Minnesota border, and pushing westwards towards Hogsback and the Winnebago River. So I've spoken with a developer, which is Invenergy, and they have sort of nearing the middle stages of development for the project, and they tell me they're 90% of the lands for the easements are signed. The project is worthwhile wind, so it is also in Worth County. So some of it, maybe perhaps a majority of it is in Worth County, and then they've extended into Winnebago County as well. So there are several concerns I have with the issue. I just want to make a few remarks here about my concerns and kind of what I see as some good steps going forward. So I have a Master's of Science degree at Iowa State, so I've used some of my research skills to study some of these issues that I've been looking into. Out of concern for my family, I reviewed a lot of facts and peer-reviewed literature, and I've also communicated with a lot of different people on the subject, not only locally, but also afar, more so reading materials in that regard. So it's become clear to me that this is sort of a national and a global issue. The literature discussing these issues all acknowledge that there's a need for further research to ensure safety of residents placed near turbines. But the three main issues that I have concerns about are the first being the audible noise and the associated annoyance that comes along with that. There's no question that the turbines create all the noise that bothers many residents that live near them. And from some of my research is that the audible noise can travel as much as 1 mile away under certain wind conditions. So it's not only a rural issue, easements being interested, or prospecting easements pretty much right on the city limits of Lake Mills. As such, if a turbine was placed there, then really a good portion of the city of Lake Mills could be affected by some of these annoyances. I've met with several people from the Bent Tree Wind Farm in Manchester, Minnesota. Some comments from them, the noise is super loud and most annoying when we're outside. It sometimes sounds like a lawnmower. If the wind is right, and it's not the peaceful country place that it used to be. So I live on a pretty peaceful rural property. My wife and I are avid gardeners. We spend much of our time outdoors. We watch the sunsets, we listen to the wildlife, and generally just enjoy the peace that exists there. So as Mike said, I'm very close to the Salem Cemetery. Hogsback Wildlife Area is a half a mile from me, and a lot of DNR lands in the north central portion of the township. And so I just speak on behalf of all the people that visit those places that they enjoy the quietness that occurs there. The noises cause irritability, sleep disruptions, and stress for many people. And some claim that there are other sources of noise that are issues, and that's true. You have railroads and other things that cause noise. The thing with turbines that is pretty much relentless. When the wind blows, it can happen day and night and all year round. Secondly, property value is a concern to me. Many studies report linkages of wind turbines to decrease rural residential property values. There's some indication it actually increases farmland values, but rural residents in the areas of turbines seems to be negatively affected. I've got some documents to provide with you folks. One of the links provide references, over 30 references that discusses the rural property value decline. So being my home is one of my biggest investments, I don't feel that any chance of a decrease in property value is acceptable. But really the third and most important thing I'm concerned about is infrasound and its effects. Infrasound is a low frequency sound emitted by turbines that cannot be picked up by the human ear. So think about a subwoofer as a low frequency sound. These are even lower than that where it can't be audibly heard. In a recent neurology publication, research examined the existing literature on adverse effects of human health from infrasound. It's been reported to cause sleep disturbance, headaches, fatigue, dizziness, ringing in the ears, and ear pain of those affected. The phenomenon has been well known for decades, but is still not fully understood, and so ongoing research continues to study this. But the symptoms of these things have been reported by residents all over this country, in neighboring counties, and really all over the world. I think it's important to note that not all people living near turbines have these symptoms, but some do. It's generally accepted that 10 to 30% of persons have a response to infrasound. A friend of mine who I've known for several years experienced these symptoms himself and his wife, which began when a turbine 1,100 feet from their doorstep went into service a few years ago. So they also had a considerable amount of shadow flicker on the interior and exterior of their homes, causing additional disturbance to them. Ultimately and unfortunately, they decided to vacate their home and they moved elsewhere. Just this month, a paper was published in Scientific Research providing an overview of why some families living close to turbines contemplate leaving their homes. There were 67 interviewees in the study, and 28 of them had permanently left their homes, and 31 were contemplating doing so. In total, 36 of the participants, over the period of the turbine spinning, had temporarily and intermittently left their homes during the day or night to alleviate their health effects. And here is a few of their comments. They started up the turbines around us. As soon as they were all up and running, we immediately suffered from sleep disturbance. It was a loud noise. It was like a whooshing noise. You could hear it inside the house, and the vibration was terrible. You could hear it and feel it. Our ears ring loudly, so loud it's almost deafening and literally will set you on edge. The ear pain and pressure alone is unforgivable, and leaves or decreases when we leave home. Very rarely was the house not vibrating. We were feeling it, and our pets were feeling it. Leaving the house 4 to 5 nights all the time, sleeping in my vehicle in the cold of winter. I would be in my vehicle 5-6 hours during the night away from the turbines by myself. And these are all comments right out of the peer-reviewed research. Similarly, a Japan study was just published that surveyed 9,000 residents who live near turbines, and it was found that the prevalence of sleep disturbance was 2-fold higher for those living within 5,000 feet to those living further away. In Illinois, a school superintendent noted some children having medical issues related to turbines, such as headaches and lack of a full night's sleep. He further noted that the district was losing a few families because they could no longer handle the flicker and the noise issues. And this is just a touch of what some people are talking about. In summary, evidence from citizens of Iowa and around the country and the world, as well as the scientific research, indicate a connection to annoyance, sleep disruption, and negative health effects. You may be aware of some of the activity by some of our own counties in Iowa. After recommendation from the County Board of Health and a group of cardiologists, Madison County, Iowa placed a moratorium on wind turbine development. Shortly thereafter, Hardin County enacted a moratorium. In November of 2019, Adair County caps the number of turbines at its current level, and a moratorium is now being discussed in Union County, so input can be sought from the residents and review new information. The turbines being proposed in this area are 600 feet tall. So put that in perspective, this is 30 feet shy of the tallest building in Des Moines. And this is nearly 3 times the height of the turbines at the top of Iowa Wind Farm in Joyce, which are 237 feet tall. So turbines of this height and size are really unprecedented. There's almost very few of these maybe being constructed right now, but none of these really exist in full service yet. So other issues that I won't discuss today but need addressed include the environmental assessments of birds, bats, and other wildlife, the impact on wells, impact on TV, radio, satellite, and cell phone signals, and a decommissioning plan for when the turbines go out of service. So for the Board of Supervisors, I have a few requests. So given the nature of all these concerns, the literature seems to indicate much connection to problems. I think it's wise that the county look at this in further review. So I asked for a moratorium on new wind turbine installations so these issues can be reviewed. After review, it's my recommendation that the county set a formal zoning ordinance so that this project and future projects can have some setback restrictions that are uniform over time. For projects in the past, the setback restrictions from turbine to residence has been 1,600 feet. The turbines are now much bigger, and I believe, based on the research, that this to be inadequate for protection of our safety and well-being. I propose the county consider a 1-mile setback from non-participating residents, so those would be people that live in the area of turbine construction but are not involved in either a good neighbor agreement or an easement on their farmland itself. If there are landowners that wish to place turbines closer to that to their property, I think that's reasonable for them to determine on their own. Sadly, I ask that future setbacks be from the residential property line and not the residential structure itself. In past permits for turbines, it's been the corner of the house that's closest to the turbine. In my particular case, I own 7 acres. If I place that setback comes up to my back door, that basically means I can't develop 5 acres of my property. And finally, I ask that the project be discussed at public forums so that residents living in the vicinity of the project can be heard. I've canvassed much of my neighborhood, which is a pretty heavily populated area just north of Lake Mills, which is about 21 residences within a half a mile of me, and we are all largely opposed. In fact, I've yet to find one that is supportive. So let it be known that concerns of all these residents, wind energy facilities will be present in our lives for the next 40 years. I think we should make sure that our rural areas are safe and peaceful, and that they encourage new families to the neighborhood and promote tourism. a little caution now will prevent a lot of heartache down the road. So thank you, Mike, for allowing me to talk.
In your talking with the people around you, do any of them live on their properties that they've signed leases? Are they going to be affected? Are they gonna have to put up with it too, in other words?
So of all the acres that I have seen on their easement, there is less than 4 that live on the property. And maybe as few as 1 or 2 that own the land and live on the land.
The resolution we did for the Buffalo Center project, does that include the whole county? I can't remember.
We have a wind turbine ordinance that's in effect for the whole county.
Didn't we use a special use permit?
The zoning ordinance requires a special exception by the Board of Adjustment, and in that resolution spells out all the requirements for setbacks and everything like that. So those have been fairly uniform among those resolutions, but I think there have been some minor discrepancies.
From the sounds of it, what he said, I mean, going from 230 feet to 600, things are changing rapidly within the industry
There's
itself.
the last ones they put up, rake up there, those are 500, I think. So.
Okay.
The oldest ones that are over by Joyce, those are fairly small ones compared to everything you put up now.
It depends on what you're measuring too. Sometimes they'll characterize them by the height to the hub or height to the blade all the way up. So just be aware that there's kind of 2 ways to describe it.
I know if they get above 500 feet, they gotta jump through a whole bunch of extra hoops with FAA. So it surprises me that they're building some over 500 feet, but,
Yeah, I confirmed that last week with one of the developers.
and I haven't been a pro-turbine person. I mean, I don't pretend to be the one to tell anybody what they can do on their property in a sense, but you also should be able to do something on your property that affects your neighbor negatively. But, they will come, they've got all kinds of studies and information and stuff that debunks all the stuff that you just read to us too, so I'll caution you on that. They're prepared for, they have studies that say the opposite. And,
Sure, yeah.
so now we gotta sit here and decide which ones are true, you know, I mean, it's,
Like COVID,
what's that?
like kind of like COVID.
Yeah, most anything else, you got, it all depends on who's selling the margarine.
So to comment on that, I've got a packet of information. It's just sort of a few things for you to review. It's by no means comprehensive, but it's a place to start. In terms of research, there are many reputable groups who are doing research on this, and then there are others, and people come to different conclusions. So you're right about that.
If they came to you with an outrageous offer, is there a dollar figure you would give up your property for? Just in general?
I don't know if I want to answer that, but I would consider an offer for a more reasonable setback from them.
I was trying to understand what you were talking about. You can't develop 5 acres if they come.
So as currently written, the setback restriction is 1,600 feet from residence itself. My property, I own 7 acres, and it's on the southeast corner of my property. If the turbine goes to the northwest corner of my property, that means the space between my house and my property line could no longer be developed for future development of a house. I have a large parcel. If I wanted to build a house for a child or sell it to a neighbor, it wouldn't be allowed
Why is that?
because it's just within the setback area.
Because they're measuring from the corner of the house currently, and if it changes those dimensions, then it's
So
gonna
what
be.
I-
are determining?
But I would guess that you'd be able to build the house, you just have to put up with it being within the, well, of course, there is a safety, those things, when they blow up, they throw the blades 1,500 feet sometimes, so that's what I've heard.
So that would be my choice to build within their safety
Yeah.
zone, and I don't think that would be a wise choice on my behalf.
I'm trying to figure out what rules is it their rules that are affecting it or our zoning?
It's written in the permit that it simply says the structure, and so a simple rephrase of the property line would clarify that.
Well, in light of what you told us, we definitely have to review it. I think.
I don't know when we'll see any permitting. We haven't seen anything yet, have we?
Have you heard about this,
There's-
Sue?
No, that's, I guess, why I'm here.
I knew it was coming, because talking to the Worth guys, and Ken was saying that it was gonna go into Winnebago County too, but I never heard
But
anything.
officially,
other than
we've
that.
never heard anything.
There
Officially,
is-
we haven't heard a word.
There is 23 easements recorded
There is.
with Invenergy.
And refresh my memory, do they get paid for those easements, the farmer or the landowner? You know what they get for that?
Not offhand, I'd have to.
It varies from company to company.
Yeah, well, it's like 20 acres, or $20 an acre for the land around, within so many feet of a turbine, if I remember right. And then, and of course, then they get paid for the turbine itself, where the actual property is sitting on, and I believe that's up around 8,000 to 10,000 a year now. And
They only get paid $20 for the easement.
Per acre.
per acre, for all the acres surrounding
Yeah.
it, the good neighbor thing they
That's
call
it.
it, or
You know,
whatever.
the electric line was given $8,000.
One time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, this is
so
every
this
year.
is every year.
Okay.
So they get $20 a
Okay.
acre.
So I guess I just want to reiterate that it's really the residences that this affect the most. And the landowners own the land where the turbines go, that's true, but I believe the voice of the residents should, or the feelings of the people who live amongst the turbines should have some input in them.
And, you know, it's just like a hog barn or anything else, if you're putting it up next to your own house. So I had a guy that lives in Arizona that called me up and was just chewing me up good for, evidently he'd been watching on YouTube and chewing me up good for not being, just wanting to, all happy to jump on the turbine bandwagon. And he was just really upset with me that I had to have a more positive attitude towards these things. And I says, well, you know, there's two different sides of the story. I says, up here, people gotta live around them, fly around them, farm around them, listen to them, look at them. I says, down there, all you gotta do is stick your hand in the mailbox and get the check. So, I mean, I do have a problem with people who they'll do something that they wouldn't do next to their own house. And then all this, the turbine stuff, old Teddy Kennedy, he was behind getting all this turbine stuff started back in the 90s. And then when it come time where they were gonna put them out in the bay off of the Kennedy compound on barges, well, no, that wasn't happening. They're gonna put them out here, but they aren't gonna put them by their place.
We have one in town here, and I probably maybe 2 days a year I'll hear it, but
Yeah.
most of the
Where do
time.
you live?
I live by NW, and the turbine's by the school.
You can hear that.
Yeah.
And that turbine is well within 1,500 feet of a lot of houses, isn't it?
hmm Like I said, I probably hear it 2 days a year, is what I would estimate.
What have you heard from most close to it?
You know, I haven't ever asked anybody, and no one's ever
I've
complained,
never
so
heard any complaints,
yeah,
but,
I don't know.
In my
But how tall
area-
is that turbine?
Yeah, it's a small one.
Yeah,
Small.
you know,
It's not a really little one, though.
No.
But it's.
but it's not 600 feet either.
No, it's not. Yeah. Well, there aren't any 600 feet ones.
Right, that's, yeah.
I would say my house is, in town there is probably over a mile to the closest turbine. And there are nights then when we're out sitting around the campfire out there and the kids, you get the kids to be quiet long enough, you can actually, on the right night, you can hear I mean, it's not really loud and obnoxious, but it's also not what it used to be, so.
Yeah, and that's at a mile, so it's reduced, but they're placed them much closer than that, and so 1,600 feet is just over a quarter mile.
Yeah, it needs to, like I say, it's gotta be as a crow flies, at least a mile from my house.
Well, every acreage, if, I looked at his easement map, the guys that signed easements, every farm place is gonna be affected if they put one up on those easements.
Plus the northern portion of Lake Mills, the way it sounds.
I'm sure, yeah. Yeah, we'll have to do our due diligence, I mean.
Thank you.
No, door's locked.
Chris, can I see that one? Thank you, I'll drop it off.
No, he's in
Oh, he
there.
is here, Eric.
They're looking for you out here.
Recorder's office needs you.
I think if you guys are, interested in making any changes, probably earlier, those things take time to work through, changing zoning ordinances and things like that, or if you have to develop a new one, if you wanted
And you
a
should.
specific wind ordinance or whatever. So, might be something to review before you see permits come in.
Yep.
And we do have the power to stop.
Yeah, they're basically all right through this strip, aren't they?
All you gotta do is change don't give them the tax break, and they won't count.
We can't do that.
Yeah, we
We can't do that.
We can.
I'm sorry,
That's a state level, it's legislature. Give them a tax break?
We don't have to allow them the property tax break, what I understand.
you adopted an ordinance, a resolution, or an ordinance, I guess you'd call it.
Yeah, but we can change it.
But that changes it from something else to be taxed like a utility.
It's my understanding that it'd be taxed as a utility through the state, so it'd still be taxed, so you just wouldn't get the money. So you can either get the money and keep the ordinance in place, or let the state level collect the money.
There are states that, I can't remember how it works, but there are states that, or counties that do not have the tax break that we have, that have zero turbines. And where all the turbines are, 100% of the turbines are where they get the break. So if you don't have, there is something that we have control over, and I can't remember how it works.
I
have
think-
to read it again.
I think that the 30%, the net acquisition of 30% comes from that ordinance that was adopted. That is within, that's part of the,
Yeah.
so if that was,
We can't change it for the existing one.
no,
but we
so
can
say
change it
that
for
that was
future
discontinued
ones.
for some reason, then, yeah, the 30% would be something, I mean, it'd be totally in the state's hands, so we'd have nothing to say about it, and it'd be, like you said, a utility instead of tax revenue.
I thought that the state dictated that, that was kind of universal.
But that's through the ordinance. So once that ordinance is
So
adopted,
the
that
state-
means you have to follow this exemption schedule
So
of
the state
30.
requires us to have the ordinance if we want that.
You don't have to,
No, I know,
Yeah.
It's our
if we
choice
want
once
that.
upon a time.
yeah.
Yeah.
Most counties have it because they want the revenue.
Right. Okay. Well, we better get on the stick, I guess, and start looking into this.
How does that affect the airport out there on the north edge of the town?
That would be all FFA or FAA.
No, they wouldn't even build within, there are people who wanted turbines out by Friesenberg and Larson that did not get them because they respected
I think they stayed 2 miles away.
yes, yeah.
Isn't there a possibility of solar going up out there?
I believe there's one solar easement in Winnebago County, but most of the solar is happening in Worth, 550 megawatts.
Right east of town.
Landscape of Iowa could possibly change big time.
It's already changed big time.
Yeah, it has.
You know, I used to look out the upper windows of my house and look to the south and see turbines and look to the north and see how the countryside used to look. Not anymore. Now we got them on both sides. Now, can I say that they're really affecting me negatively? No, I don't pay much attention to it, but, I mean, it's, have I been out in the field near them now where there's, the shadow flicker is, I mean, you can watch it. I mean, sometimes when the sun is bright enough when it's setting, I mean, it goes for a couple of miles, that shadow from that blade going around.
I think from your perspective, a lot of energy should probably be put into the public information that give out. It's it's kinda like when the interstate went through. There were a lot of farmers that it affected mentally, they really did. I remember that big fight back then, in 68 and 70, and that, it, you know, it ruined a lot of farmers, really did.
You know, when it comes to at the state level, though, I mean, there's not enough votes out here in rural Iowa that, you know, kind of like Teddy Kennedy, as long as he's making the rules for someone else and he don't have to look at it, he's fine, so.
So, definitely worth studying.
Yeah, it, unfortunately, it, for a lot of years, changes the look of the countryside.
It's happening everywhere.
What's that?
And it's happening everywhere.
Yeah.
That's where, but solar takes up a lot more ground, I guess, in a sense. So,
And people are starting to pay attention.
but it, solar doesn't bother people because it doesn't move and it doesn't make noise. And,
Just looks black.
yeah, no, it is, yeah, they are an interesting looking thing. But, okay. well,
So, do you want somebody to get a hold of Matt? What's the plan?
I think we better educate ourselves big time. And,
What some of our choices are.
I mean, but I've also had people call me that have told me that getting on board with these turbines, that it would be a fiscally irresponsible thing for us not to take the revenue off of the turbines.
And that's a valid.
So you got, you know, and I would say that it was probably about 50-50 up there, and, you know, the people that were against it and the people that were for it. And I would say a higher percentage of the people that were absentee landowners were for it. But there were several landowners up there that wanted the revenue. They're small farmers.
I remember the younger couple.
And them, the one that was in here, and there's a couple more like that, and there's other guys that are really mad that they couldn't get one because of, it's good. One of them even had figured out for the 20 or 30 years into the future, how many millions it cost his family that he couldn't put up turbines on his land because of
the airport next.
because of an airport. Yeah.
And he's had to put up the noise of the airport all these years.
Yeah.
But things are rapidly changing in that industry, so we need to study it. I really think so.
Well, in theory, these newer ones are supposed to be quieter, but I can't say that happened either. So.
I think your main choices are they an allowable use under the zoning ordinance, and what are your setbacks? You know, those are the main things that change from county to county or anything like
Well,
that.
and I'll agree with him for sure that if they're going to make them bigger, then the setback should also be bigger from a house.
I think when we looked at it last time, we looked at, you know, it was reflective on the site.
I think overwhelmingly we've taken the wind turbines recommendation and kind of stuck with that number, so.
Well, absolutely the property line, not the structure itself, because any structure can, I mean, you get a tornado and you gotta build in the same exact spot, the same exact house, you know, that's not gonna happen, and so there's just a lot of things that property line would,
I'd like to look at that.
yeah, resolve for the property owner, protect them a little bit more.
Well, these easements, if they put them up on these easements, the city of Lake Mills itself is going to be in an uproar.
Yeah, and don't be convinced that this is the only place they're gonna move, right? 'Cause
Well, they do pacify that somewhat. I believe the people in Rake are close enough to them that I think every house in Rake gets $1,000 from the wind turbine company every year.
I'm kinda surprised that they're,
And I get that, but they're jumping on the bandwagon before they're listening to the effects.
Well, they don't know
You
whether
what
that
I'm
thousand's worth it yet or
Exactly.
not.
Right.
So we'll have to go up and talk to the people in Rake, see whether, I'll go talk to my mother-in-law, she's getting it, so I'll see what she thinks.
Yeah.
I know she likes her $1,000.
How close to break are they?
It's my understanding everybody within a mile of it was gonna get $1,000.
Yeah, it seems like it's under a mile, that this Rake is kind of in the middle of that section. especially mother-in-law, she's on the south side. And the turbines they're in the next section, so it would be right close to a mile. I haven't actually gone out and measured it out, so. Is that first one, that would be in that grounded Diving Farms, and it's gotta be a quarter mile to the south in there. So it'd be just short of a mile if it isn't a mile.
On the contrary, there are some communities near us, Manly, for example, and I believe maybe Grafton and some other communities. The city is actually looking at an ordinance to restrict turbines within a 2-mile buffer of the city limits, just because they don't want the city residents to be exposed to problems.
Except for if you put it to a vote to them, if they could get $1,000 a year, how many of them would take $1,000?
Like I said, $1,000 sounds nice, but just all depends on what you have to put up with.
Not if you can't.
I would personally, if they were gonna, because, you know, again, if it weren't for the city limits, Gary Garsh could have put one right just east of my house. And if it came down to me getting $1,000 or having that turbine there, I'd have gave up $1,000.
Mhm.
But that's me. There's other people that have, if you can believe it or not, there's people that think different than me.
And they will offer,
I just can't believe everybody wouldn't be on that bandwagon.
they will offer residents like me the same sort of agreement. They will offer me a good neighbor agreement based on where I live.
Mm-hmm.
So realize these are salesmen, they come in, this is the only information you get, and they show you the money and they get you to sign, and then maybe it's later on you realize what you sign and what the consequences are.
And I've read those turbine contracts from one end to the other, and I don't think I'd sign one if I owned one. I mean, it's a one-sided contract all the way, and it has a gag clause on it. There's only one reason to have the gag clause, and that's because you may be paying this guy more than you're paying this guy, but you can't talk about it, so if they do, you're violation of your contract.
I'm surprised they didn't go a lot more along the border. I mean, there's not that much, once you get past Emmons, start going, there's a long, vast area of nothing.
It doesn't make sense because about a fourth of those easements, you should have, let us make a copy of that, the easements there.
Well, she's
About a quarter, you
she's got
got
them right there.
A quarter of those easements are down in the valley in Pete.
Yeah, so what,
I don't get it.
yeah, that's what I mean, when you get like where Langinson's at, that whole,
Yeah,
and all through there's nothing.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the one advantage is that the new power lines go right through my property, my family's property.
Yeah, the
Oh, sure.
proximity of hooking up to it,
So
you
that's
don't have to
very
have that buried cable as far. I mean, all these turbines have come about because of that new transmission line, so. Well, I guess
we got our work.
it's in your backyard this time. You voted for it in my backyard, so. You decide what you wanna do.
I went by who was for it, the information, everything.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm not gonna say, hey, I wouldn't vote for it. They've done that, you gotta look at it, you know.
Let's see all the options, I guess. It's,
Someone, it seems like in every decision, someone gets screwed. It really does.
yeah. All right, then we'll,
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, thank you. I just leave you with these guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
9:45 a.m., consider approval of fireworks permit for Nathan Ostrander.
Refresh my memory, Dave, if they buy the fireworks like here in Fort City, they don't need a permit, like I think it's 5 days before and 5 days after the 4th, right?
My understanding of the permit is to just, if we get a call on it, we have a list of who's got permits for it and when they're gonna burn, let them off.
Okay.
And then it's kinda like our burn ordinance, so we don't get calls,
Oh.
bonus calls on it.
Well, then I'll make a motion to approve a permit for Nathan Ostrander for fireworks.
Can we trust him?
Well, I just spent about $1,500 with him, so, pump, like those pumps, so.
Yeah. Say that in jest.
I know.
Okay, on the motion, Stensrud,
I'll second.
the second from Derby to approve the fireworks permit for Nathan Ostrander, and all in favor say aye.
Do we all have to sign it?
Yeah, there is a signature spot for all of us.
And then we gotta give him back the other one too.
That means I gotta sign it twice.
That's why you make the big bucks.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it should be one more.
Two of the permits. Two
Was there only two permits out there?
and a liquor license.
Oh, the other ones are liquor license. All right, open forum.
So, I just gotta make sure I get this right. I should get a permit if I'm gonna do it on the board, my kids come.
It doesn't cost anything. I get
No.
one, my brother, you know, we have a family reunion at my brother's place. We get a permit every time.
Only spot on this one?
Next one.
It's too late. Not a big deal.
I don't know if anybody's gonna pass our new building yet, but we finally have a sign up on the building.
Almost.
Almost,
When the Eggo,
huh?
when the Eggo,
Yeah, so there was a mistake. It was mine for not double checking it, I guess, but they said a G instead of a B. So there is a gap where the B is supposed to be. It's supposed to be here in the next, it was supposed to be here this week, but now with the 4th, that may or may not screw things up. But it'll be here in the next 2 weeks, and then it'll be fixed. But it looks really nice. Jeff Thompson and Paul Dressler put the sign up. But when you leave town, you might take note of it.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the county claims.
Second that.
Motion from Derby and a second from Stensrud to approve the county claims. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Are we adjourned?
We are adjourned.
Figure this thing out.
Is that the law? We're supposed to get a permit
I think it's our ordinance.
or
No, our ordinance doesn't require a permit.
cannot?